There's a YouGov Sport and Priority Partnerships report that said parents pay 1.5 times more attention to brands that sponsor their child's youth sports organization than to brands sponsoring professional sports teams they follow. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. It's a really good, I mean, just at a high level, it's a really good sponsorship touch point for reasons I'm sure we'll get into here. But you have a captive audience, right? You have sort of the prime advertising audience demographic, and they're sponsoring something that is, sort of near and dear to the heart, right? And you almost can't escape it, even if you wanted to. So I think there's lots of reasons why youth sponsorship makes sense and is, to me, over the next I don't even want to say this year, 2 to 3 years is just going to explode.
Yeah. As millennials are starting to have kids and kids are starting to get into youth sports and everything that we ever heard growing up was always like millennials, brands have to change their entire strategy because millennials care about things that we value. They want brands to value the same things that we value. But this doesn't shock me. I mean, because do I want to go to a McDonald's because they buy ad space during an Eagles game when I'm watching them on my favorite team? Or do I want to go to the local pizza chain because, they're sponsoring my kids' 9U soccer team? So on the way home, we're like, hey, let's go to the pizza place or whatnot. They're more willing to support those kind of places, especially if it helps like offset the cost of tournaments or registration or facilities costs and everything. So I think this is kind of just a thing where it's like the transition of advertising. It goes from radios and newspapers, TV, internet. Now it goes from pro sports to college sports, and now it's going to unlock in youth sports. Are we going to see 10-year-olds running around on the court with jerseys that look like NASCAR jumpsuits?
Probably.
You think so?
At some point, yeah. Why not? Listen, it's an attention economy, right? So you got to think about where the attention is going. It's in many ways always been on youth sports, but if you have parents spending entire weekends at tournaments or 4 nights a week at a given place, their attention is there, right? And if you think about like TV commercials, lots of issues, because people just pick up their phone during any commercial break. I mean, this is like a media topic that's been beaten to death. But if you just take it like pro sports is prohibitively expensive these days. And I would say dollar for dollar, I've talked to some people in the industry, you may get 5, 10, 50x the ROI per dollar spent on youth sports. So like there's this arbitrage opportunity today, right? So I think that's what you're seeing right now, are brands realizing. I think part and parcel, frankly, with all the media coverage, this could be one of the positive side effects of all the quote negative media coverage around youth sports, is it's now sort of put it into the zeitgeist, how much money, time, and attention goes into youth sports, and brands see that and they see opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there's an arbitrage opportunity today for the brands that want to invest millions of dollars, hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars into the space, compared to what they would get by sponsoring the local pro team or running ads during the local MLB broadcast, right? That money can go so much further in youth sports. And the infrastructure, now I sound like a chatbot by using the word infrastructure, but the infrastructure is being built now to facilitate that, right? Even if you wanted to spend $5 million in youth sports, it's like, well, how do you do it, right? There's only, I think we'll see more creative solutions, but there's really only a handful of ways to do it now. It's some of the tech platforms that have the reach and the audience that they can support that digitally in addition to physically in person. There's companies like Base Sports Group, which I think is a leader here, Priority Partnerships. Like there's some standalone companies that are really helping to drive that forward and strike the partnerships, not only with the brands, but the big tournament venues, in the case of Base Sports Group, right? So I think tech platforms, standalone agencies, and I think we'll see lots of other just interesting manifestations of this, up to and including, I think eventually we're going to see a brand that effectively owns a youth sports club, right? And you reverse engineer the model where somebody actually operates the club, but they white label the club naming rights to brands, right? And so the brand doesn't have to operate it, but it's their club. That to me feels like a long-term place that we end for sort of these premium travel and maybe more at the high school level, those sorts of teams.
Yeah, coming at it from a club perspective, I do think it will be a little bit of a case-by-case basis. You do look at Rush Soccer; they signed a multi-year partnership with Carvana right across the chest, biggest soccer club in the country, correct?
World, they say the world. Yeah, so I think so. Yeah.
But then,
and
on
I know
the other
Justin,
hand,
by the way, is speaking at the conference. I know he's very passionate about what they're doing in sponsorship, and I know they're thinking a lot about how to really capitalize on it, because now they have, they're owned by Pioneer Sports, which have surf soccer. So between Surf and Rush, you have like a 200 plus soccer clubs in America. That's a huge sponsorship unlock for a single sponsor like a Carvana or somebody else. So whether it's the clubs that have scale, and the more private equity consolidates clubs, right? Well, now a single sponsor can reach how many tens of thousands of athletes and dozens of clubs with a single deal, which wasn't possible before. Mm-hmm. So I think you have agencies, you have tech platforms, you have club roll-ups, and I think, here to untold new, interesting, creative ways for brands to unlock it. Eventually that arbitrage opportunity ends though, right? Like, it will take years, money will flow in because, wow, we can get 10x bang for our buck, but it's capitalism. Eventually things come into equilibrium, and 10 years from now, the effective rate to sponsor, Rush Soccer may be the same as taking out an ad during an MLS match.
So, just to play devil's advocate, do you see the next wave of criticism in youth sports being the local pizza chain was priced out of a Game Changer live stream in their town because the major brands couldn't afford it now? Is that coming to a Wall Street Journal or New York Times near you?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's like spilling tears for the local pizza place, then yeah, right? Like I that will happen.
There's definitely arguments to both sides.
Think about if a major brand owned a network of clubs, or an entire, really branded the club. So instead of the team being called, Rush Soccer, or, whatever township, such and such, right? The team was actually named Dunkin' Donuts, Southeast PA. Imagine you're Dunkin' Donuts and you have naming rights to 24, travel baseball teams across the country. Again, they're not going to operate it, but there might be a white label operator out there who's thinking about it like that. Mm-hmm. I think you see this in pro sports, right? I don't know. Maybe there's not F1's a good example, right? Maybe not the perfect comp, but that's where I think this can really go. That's how brands, it's always like, do you go from operator to brand or brand to operator? And you
kind of see it with AAU basketball teams, like the Kyle Lowry team.
Yes.
Great example. Kyrie Irving has teams and stuff and everything, but they don't operate the team. They might show up to a tournament or two, but they'll pay for, travel. They'll pay for apparel. They'll pay for shoes and whatnot. And yeah, I like kind of where your head's at. The 13U Dunkin' Donut blueberry donuts are coming to a perfect game tournament near you to take your winnings and then go eat Dunkin' on the way home.
They're all running around in bright blue uniforms, like for their blueberry coffee, like
a Pop-Tart bowl.
Well, like Augustus Glout from Charlie. Do you get that reference at least?
I get that reference. All right. Yeah, I only saw the Johnny Depp one. Sorry.
That's fine.
No, I'm just kidding.